Hey everybody, I'm Mike Rooney and I really want to debunk some myths in real estate. Shock, some agents will say misleading things, right? So let's get some things straight and let's get on top of some of those misleading things. One of those things of what is misleading in my opinion, and this is a lot of what I think, and I've been doing this for long enough where I think I've got some experience in this, is the process of asking an agent out for an appraisal. When you ask an agent out, or multiple agents, the thing is that as agents, we know you want to hear a high price, right? We know that, let's say, the general market might think a property would be worth $1 million. But an agent is motivated to tell you a higher price than what they really think, right? Because let's say you get two different agents out. One tells you $1 million because that's accurate. That's what the market probably will actually pay. And another agent comes out and says, oh, we'll easily get you 1.1, 1.2, right? And the reason they're saying that is because they're trying to beat the other agent. That doesn't make the promise of 1.1 or 1.2 real. It just means they're saying it. And there's no commitment from that agent to back that up with anything, right? They don't have, if you sign with that agent who said it's 1.1 or 1.2 for a property that's probably only worth $1 million, it doesn't make it worth more, right? Unless they have a strategy. Sometimes there is a legitimate strategy that makes that happen. And I've got some great strategies, and some experienced agents, or most experienced agencies, probably have their own strategies. But if they can't explain to you what that strategy is that's actually going to achieve that, so there's the things that especially when there's new agents, right? Someone who hasn't been around very long, they probably don't have many listings and they become very desperate, and they'll say and do just about anything to get you to sign with them. And that's a problem, right? If they overpromise you on price and you then market that property with a higher price, selling real estate is not like selling a car. If you're going to sell a car, let's say a car's worth $10,000, and you think to yourself, oh, well, I want to get 10, so I'll advertise it for 12, thinking that buyers are going to come and have a look at my car, they're going to offer me a lower price, and we'll meet somewhere in the middle, right? So you probably advertise at 12 grand rather than 10, thinking that the price is going to come down. Real estate does not work that way. Real estate, when you overprice a property, buyers just don't see value. If a buyers don't see value, they won't even come, right? And there's no bigger word on an overpriced property than nothing happening, right? If nobody's coming to inspections, there's very low inquiry, it's because it's overpriced, right? And if you're overpriced, there's going to be no buyers, right? A higher price comes from buyer competition. Multiple buyers love the property, they fall in love with it, and they're willing to compete with each other to pay a little bit more to secure that beautiful property that they've fallen in love with, right? But if there's no buyers, right, there's no competition. So there's no motivation for the buyer that does come, that is the only buyer there at an open house. They don't see any other buyers there. What motivation is there to pay your higher price? They're more likely to go, you're overpriced, and I know you're overpriced, so I'm going to offer you a lower price because there's no competition. There's no one I'm up against. Now, by comparison, if you market the property properly, right, if the buyers see value at the price, they look at on realestate.com.au domain and they see the property and they say, wow, that's a stunning property and it's advertised for offers around $1 million and that's probably what it's worth, we're going to go and have a look. And more to the point, once they come and have a look, because there's only so much you can do with marketing, right? Beautiful photos, a good description, and here's the fact on that, nobody reads the description anymore. They just browse through the photos and they'll send an inquiry, they'll come to an open house. But we still put a description in there for those that do. But only when they're going to walk through the door do they know if they like it or not. Either they're going to fall in love with it at that point or they're not, right? But if you can't get them to the door, they're definitely not going to fall in love with it. They're not going to look at it online and go, wow, that's a stunning property, we're going to buy it without seeing it. So there has to be value in the buyer's perception, right? And it's so much so is this thing that in southern states, New South Wales and Victoria, they have a real problem with underquoting, where agents promise a price that's way too low, that the sellers are never going to accept. And the reason that's a thing in those states, it's because they know if they put it at a really good price, a really cheap price, guess what buyers are going to do? They're going to come in hordes, swarm the property with multiple buyers. There's good, strong competition, and they're going to make good offers, right? And then in that situation, you're going to have a multiple buyer negotiation where the price is going to come up. For whatever reason in Queensland, something to do with the agents or the dynamic here is different. Agents here, instead of saying, well, let's market it with a too low price, they go and fight with each other and overpromise the price. right? A $1 million property is suddenly 1.2, 1.3. Oh yeah, we'll get you 1.5. No problem at all. Just sign here, list with me, right? And once you're on market and there's nobody coming through, guess what the agent's saying? Oh, well, the market's spoken. You're overpriced. We have to reduce your price. And then it becomes traumatic for a seller, right? Because then you're under this pressure, but you told us you get 1.5, 1.2, whatever, right? And the agents say, yeah, well, we thought that, but we didn't. The market speaks now, right? This is actually taught by real estate trainers, right? It's taught to go and overpromise and then get them on the market and then push the vendor to reduce their price, right? That is not a good experience for a seller. By comparison, what I'm saying is, don't just focus on that price. If an agent's coming out and speaking to you about, promising this price or that price, forget about that. That's not how you're going to pick your agent. Please don't use that as the way to pick your agent. Instead, do you trust this agent? Do you have a personality similarity? Are you going to get along? Is this going to be an enjoyable experience? What's going to be their strategy for marketing the property? What are they going to do with photos or descriptions, or what's going to be the angle? What's going to be the approach to get multiple buyers into a multiple buyer negotiation with multiple offers and create that situation that's going to push the price up? How are they going to do that? These are the questions that you need to be asking. What websites are you going to put us on? Okay, we all know that you have to be on realestate.com.au because 95% of buyers are going to come off realestate.com.au. But these days, I'm seeing a lot of agents not putting properties on Domain. There are still 5 to 10% of buyer inquiry coming in off Domain in Queensland at the moment, from my experience, right? What if that is the buyer that's going to make the difference? You can't not put it on all of the main websites. The reason agents are doing this is because the Domain is charging the money, right? And they're just trying to win the best listing. And let's be honest, right? Realestate.com.au is charging money too, a lot more money, but the truth is you have to be there. That is where the majority of the buyers are going to come from. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about it. The appraisal price does not mean that's the price you're going to get at sale. That's not the way to pick an agent. And I've got a saying which I did come from one of my old trainers when I was newer into real estate. There's a difference between comparable price and market price. Comparable price is what happens when an agent comes and they give you an appraisal and say, here's what sold recently nearby that's similar to yours, that's comparable. And they use that to give you an indication of what it might sell for. Versus market price. Market price is what you're going to find after you're on the market. When the buyers are walking through the door and they're giving you price feedback, that's market price, right? And the majority of buyers are going to be in a similar clump. And then you can say, well, okay, most buyers are in this price bracket. And then you're going to have the buyers that really love the property and they're willing to just really fight a bit harder to secure their dream property. And they might pay a little bit more than the other buyers to try and secure it, right? So that's the difference between market price and comparable price. The appraisal is not about what price you're promised. It's about the strategy. It's about the agent themselves. Pick the agent that you're going to get along with, that you trust, that's got a strategy that you believe in, and you're going to work together. When you work alongside the agent, you will have a good experience and you'll have a good outcome as well because you trust each other and it will go well. Right, if you stay tuned, if you want more of these, I'll probably do a couple more. I've got a few more ideas of some other videos like this. Tune in and pay attention. Hopefully I'll get a couple more of these out soon. Thank you.